Rosalie, if you would call the board roll call and announce the quorum. Thank you. Then I will call the meeting to order.
No, you call it to order and then we do that.
Can we just have the board roll call? Okay, I have called the meeting to order, I think.
It's 7:05, okay.
Yeah. Could we have the roll call?
Okay,
Thanks.
Joan Jacobs,
Present.
Rosalie Preston, yeah, Majeni Nixon,
Present.
Nita Stonehawker,
Present.
Dave Trejo,
Present.
Harvey Powell,
Present.
Eva Cooper Pace,
Present.
Oscar Ruiz,
Present.
Frankie Mays,
Present.
Craig Kusunoki.
Present.
Okay, we have a quorum.
Great, thank you. So we can get on with everything. So CD 15, the Los Angeles PD department is not here, so I will call on CD 15.
General public comment.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, thank you. General public comment on non-agenda items that are within the Neighborhood Council's subject matter jurisdiction. Each speaker will be allowed 2 minutes per speaker. Please press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute.
So-
I cannot see raised hands, so if you will help me on all of this, thank you.
Yeah, unfortunately, the raised hands are not for, there's a person from
Oh, wow.
the cannabis retail on Vermont at 115th. Is that MS? Okay, let me make you a panelist.
Ah, here we go. No, I've got it.
Okay.
I see Nicholas has his hand up.
Nicholas, yes.
I
Mhm.
think it's because I tried to make him a panelist and something didn't
Didn't work.
happen. Okay, now it should work.
Hello, can you hear me?
We
Yeah.
can't hear you,
But we're
Okay,
under general
but
public
I should do
comment.
public comment first. I'm sorry,
Okay.
I misread my agenda.
Got it,
So,
sorry.
yes.
So is MS making, who is making the public
Hi,
comment?
Rosalie. Yes,
We
this
have-
is Mike Sagian, MS.
Okay, go ahead. Joan, did you want to make a statement about
I'm
general
sorry.
public comment?
I'm not sure. Why don't you go ahead and do that right now?
So
I'm
just
not-
a reminder that
Yeah.
under general public comment, we allow up to 2 minutes per speaker. The speaker states whatever issue they want to, but there is no questioning by the board or interaction. Any further action will be placed on a future agenda.
No problem. Yeah, we're just here to introduce ourselves. Let me know if you can hear me and when my time starts.
Right. Could you say your name again, please? And who
Yes,
you're
my name
with?
is Mike Sagian, and I am calling in for general public comment.
And you are representing, so everybody knows.
Representing Culture Dispensary located at 11500 South Vermont Avenue.
Thank you very much. Okay, your time starts now. What you would like to
Thank you,
tell
everyone.
us.
Good evening. My name is Mike Sagian, and I'm a Los Angeles-based cannabis licensing consultant. I'm calling in tonight to introduce Culture Dispensary, a new retail licensee, which is located at 11500 South Vermont Avenue. This is a fully licensed cannabis retail business, which has passed inspections from all required agencies. Culture Dispensary is going to be a great neighbor and an asset to the community. This business has 24-hour security personnel in addition to its state-of-the-art alarm system and surveillance system. The entire premises and its exterior has 24/7 surveillance coverage, and footage is stored for at least 90 days. At all times, security will ensure that there are no loiterers or anyone consuming cannabis on or around the property. They have their own parking lot, so staff and customers won't need to use up street parking. There is a dedicated maintenance manager who goes above and beyond to make sure that the property and its adjacent areas are free of litter and graffiti. There are strict procedures for ID checks, so please be rest assured that minors will never be let into the business. Throughout the upcoming months, the business's management team will make efforts to be a part of the neighborhood council meetings in order to take part in community affairs. I have shared the business owner's contact information with Rosalie in case anyone ever needs to get in touch with him for any reason at all. Thank you so much for allowing me to address the board this evening.
Thank you. And is there any other public comment? Anyone else wish to raise their hands? *6 to raise your hand and *9. No, sorry, other way around. *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute yourself. But I see no other hands raised. Does anybody else see hands raised? Think not. If there are no other public comments, then we will go on to item number 3, which is reports. First one from CD 15. The floor is yours, Nicholas.
Thanks, Joan, but I did see Officer Hamoka was on this call, so if he would
Oh,
like to go
really?
first,
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I'll let him go first.
Okay, thank you. I did not see that, yes. Okay, Officer Hamoka, would you like to give a report? Welcome,
Sure.
and would you like to give a report?
Absolutely. Hey, good evening, everyone, and thank you, Nick, for that. My name is Tyson Hamoka. I'm one of the senior lead officers here in Southeast Division. And just if it is anyone newcomers on the call, just really quickly, my area is primarily in the Harbor Gateway area. So my boundaries are from Imperial Highway to 120th Street. And then my west border is Figueroa. My east border is Central Avenue. So just a few things to touch on tonight is the main areas I've been working on over the past month. And the most important part of what I've been working on are addressing the encampments along the Caltrans area. Most recently, I believe there was a cleanup over on Broadway. I have to verify this with our Caltrans partners, but I did notice what used to be a really large encampment has shrunk in size. So I'm just not sure if people have moved from the area or hopefully that it was cleaned. But what we're finding is that once they're clean, they come right back. So once I can determine if it has been cleaned or not, then if it has been cleaned, I can resubmit it again for a cleanup, and hopefully it happens, quicker than in previous requests. So and it just concerns me because I'm starting to see a lot more narcotic activity, illegal dumping occurring around the encampments. A lot of tagging right now too. I think gang members are using these encampments as a hub for their narcotic activity. So it's very common to see South Los tagging or Bagos 13 tagging, which is Hispanic gangs, which are in the area. And they also contribute to an increase of property crime. So my petty thefts and also vandalisms and even residential burglaries tend to spike in the areas where these encampments haven't been cleaned. So I just want to with Nick being here, he's been a great partner to have. especially in addressing encampments that are on the city side. They're very efficient in getting from request to cleanup is usually, I mean, I want to say pretty much in the realm of 3 weeks, which is, anyone who's been the Harbor Gateway for a while knows that that's very fast compared to the rest of the city. Significant events, I just want to touch on one really quickly. On June 1st at 6:10 in the morning, there was a shooting on the 100 East block of 119th Street. And the victim in this crime was a Bogos 13 member who was inside his vehicle with his wife at the time. And the information that they have right now is that a pedestrian approached his vehicle, fired 3 shots, and a number of shots went into the front windshield, and then he was approached on the driver's side open window and was shot as well. So his injuries he sustained was a stomach shot, and he self-transported to MLK Hospital, at which time he was treated. At the time of the investigation, when this preliminary info came out, he was in and out of consciousness, so they weren't able to get much information as far as suspect info other than what I said. There was a 9mm handgun that was used in the crime. So today we were the last week, really, we've been sidetracked with a bunch of different other events. So I've been off the last few days. I just learned about this prior to coming on to the call. So I'll make sure to get more updates from detectives. And if there's any pertinent information to pass along to you guys, I definitely will. As far as community events in Southeast Division this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they're having, not us, but South Traffic Division is hosting a carnival on Broadway. And that carnival will be on Broadway between Manchester South to right around 90th, 92nd Street. It usually opens about noon and it goes well into the night, 10 p.m. to midnight. So if you guys are in the area and you want to have some good carnival food and go on some rides, feel free to go out there. They are pre-selling tickets, which is very, it's better to pre-buy the tickets than to show up on the day of the event and buy tickets. So if anyone here on the call is interested in that kind of thing, you can just shoot me a text or a call and I can put you in touch with the right person to be able to follow up and get you, whatever you need. And that's pretty much does it for me. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer it.
Just clarify who's putting on the carnival?
It's South Traffic Division. So their
Oh,
house,
South
yeah, it's not Southeast Division, but their carnival will be in the Southeast area.
And also, when you mentioned that there was a big encampment that was cleared up, what location was that?
So the biggest one that I'm talking about is on Broadway. So if you're on Broadway, really on the east or west side, directly underneath the 105 freeway, and it's right next to the train tracks that kind of transverse Broadway. That was probably my biggest one right there.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for Officer Homolka?
This is Frankie. I have a question for Officer Homolka. I know there was someone living on the underpass of the 105 on Main, and it appears that someone is there again. And it's something like some black oil or something was poured out at the top, like running down. It's directly underneath the underpass on the top.
Right. Yeah, I know. You know what? I know the exact place you're talking of, and I've actually met with that person who lives there. Nick and I kind of put our heads together, and it actually belongs to Caltrans. So that request has already been, the minute that he moved in, my request went in. So that was probably, I'm guessing, I don't know, maybe a month ago. So I'm still waiting to be able to get that cleared out as well. So I'm hoping that's very, very soon.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, if there's no one else, then I will call upon Nicholas Chavez to give the report for CD 15. Thank you, Nicholas.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Nicholas Chavez. I'm the Harbor Gateway representative for Councilman Tim McOsker. And since we last met it's been pretty busy. I have quite a few updates. But I do want to just start off saying again, just the importance of 311. I want to thank everyone who's members of the board and of the general public on the call that have sent me 311 tickets. It's really important for us, and it's a great way for the departments to get work. So whether it's kind of been a legal dumping request or board members uplifting other requests, whether they're street lighting or similar concerns, I
How
just
about
want
getting
to.
us another tea?
Hello, could you mute
Oh.
yourself? Who's speaking in the background?
There you go. Sorry,
Okay,
not sure who
thank
that
you.
was. But I did want to thank you guys. And again, any other concerns you guys have, whether they're illegal dumping, lights, animal control related, anything to do with that, always feel free to email me. And I also did want to mention again, I know I've mentioned it every time, but I do just want to stress, and Pamela as well, let me know to stress any comments on the community plan. Please submit them still. I was on a meeting with Christopher Pina the other day on a separate issue, but he said their planning department is still working on finalizing those reports. And so if there's any feedback, any concern, please get those in either to myself, directly to Pamela Thornton, who's our planning director, or to Christopher Pina, or feel free to email all of us. Any feedback that you guys have, please get that in. And now going to more stuff that I wanted to talk about in our area. You guys might have seen the lighting underneath the Stanford underpass. So we were out there, the councilman, as well as Officer Hamaoka and a few members from the Bureau of Street Lighting. But they did complete the installation of the colored lights underneath the underpass. You guys may have seen it on our newsletter or on the Tim McCosker LA social media pages. But we're really happy and proud that Bureau of Street Lighting was able to do it. We do want to plan some sort of kickoff party. I know school's out in the next few weeks, so I will get together with the council so we can plan on something in the summer. The councilman would like to have a kickoff event in the summer, underneath the lights. So we're very excited about that. Right now, I know some folks have already asked, how can we expand it? How can we add it to other underpasses? Right now, unfortunately, it was a pilot project. And currently there's no avenue for kind of the expansion of that program as of now. But that's something we're going to keep vouching for. But again, we're just very proud to see it. And I've been driving by, and I don't know, Officer Hamaoka can attest to this, but the illegal dumping has reduced drastically. And so that's kind of been a good outcome of that. And we definitely want to expand that to all the other underpasses, which is normally where we see a lot of the illegal dumping. And kind of a segue into the next point. I know there's been big concern from our entire district and the city regarding copper wire theft and just the amount of time it takes to repair streetlights. So I did want to thank a few board members as well who have sent tickets into me. Right now, there is a very big delay in getting the lights repaired, but I did want to assure you all that street lighting is out and they are working on it. Some of these jobs are very complex. In fact, this morning I ran into a crew that was working off of Lancet and Link, so not too far from Maine, and they were repairing some of the lights there. And again, it's a very complicated process. Even just one or two lights could be, a few days or even up to a week of work, depending on if it's copper wire theft or the work that they have to do on the light structures itself. But they are working and they are closing out tickets in our district. And even one of the workers that I talked to today said they'll be out at the main underpass tomorrow to investigate and try to fix some of those lights. So I did want to assure you all, I know it's frustrating, but please be patient. Please send any requests directly to me. And street lighting, slowly but surely, they are out in the field and they are repairing some of these lights. So I'm just wanted to say that. And I also did want to add that our clean team as well has been doing a phenomenal job. So as of now, our Clean 15 program has eclipsed 50 million pounds of trash picked up since its inception. So about, I think, a year and some change now. And they've been doing a fantastic job. This past month, just in the Harbor Gateway North alone, we've cleared out various alleys off of kind of 117th and Athens Way. I know a lot of those alleys in those neighborhoods were overgrown. So they've done a fantastic job cleaning that up and also cleaning illegal dumping, whether it's on near 117th and Figueroa. I know another big concern has been just our corridor of El Segundo. So I did want to say they're doing great work there. And I know recently there's been a lot of illegal dumping on the apartments on El Segundo Boulevard. I did partner with Watershed. I reported some of those instances to them, and they did issue some mailers to those apartments, just letting the residents know, obviously, you cannot dump illegally, and they can, report any bulky items or trash that they would like on 311 and get those picked up accordingly. And I know occasionally there's the occasional mattress or the occasional dresser on there, but I did see it reduced drastically. And I'm driving by El Segundo and kind of that corridor at least once or twice a week in the meantime.
Which apartments? You're talking about the ones on the south side of El Segundo?
Yes, those apartments. I want to say El Segundo and Menlo, I want to say, is the street. I think that's the one you had sent me, Rosalie. And I know,
Yes, it is Menlo. Right.
yes. So yeah, I had reported it to Watershed. And again, Watershed, if you guys remember, they're kind of the enforcement arm of sanitation. So they went out, and we had sent them some pictures because some of the trash obviously had addresses on them. So they went ahead and mailed, letters and correspondences to that address, letting them know kind of as a warning. And again, I've seen the illegal dumping right there reduced drastically. So, and our clean team as well, George, who you guys might have remember, helped present, whether it's myself or our clean team, they're constantly fielding as well, and looking at sites for cleanup. So I know today they were also clearing some big alleys in the Harbor Gateway North. So any requests that you guys have as well for alley abatement, median maintenance, I know I have a few in the queue already from Miss Powell, but please feel free to send those over and we'll put those on our queue. Let me see what else. I also did want to say as well, kind of going back to the copper wire theft, we have seen an uptick in just kind of the stealing of metal. So near 118th Street and just kind of a lot of near 118th Elementary and a lot of other areas in the Harbor Gateway North, there's been, whether they're metal covers or kind of utility covers similar to manholes, they've been being stolen. I also know that the main underpass, the sidewalk there, recently had one of their metal covers taken. So I also did, if you guys noticed that any kind of maintenance covers missing, whether they're for street lighting, whether it's DWP, we can report those and make sure it gets to the right agency, whether it's Department of Water and Power, whether it's another utility company or a street lighting cover. Please let us know and we will get those fixed. And I also did want to say, just kind of as an FYI, I know earlier, sometime last year, we had a meeting regarding a proposed tiny home village project off of 116th and Stanford, not too far from 116th Elementary School. And since then, there really hasn't been any update. The project was basically put on ice, no further update. But the city is looking into revisiting that project and coming back with instead of a tiny home, a village layout, a modular layout. So I just want to let you guys know we will have, I will let the council know when there is a meeting. But we are going to meet with the Bureau of Engineering, with LAUSD, and once we have a little bit more information on what that looks like, we will have a public meeting, most likely at 116th Elementary, to go over the updated proposal, and just any other community feedback can be heard at that meeting. So I just wanted to put that on your radar, to be on the lookout for that in the coming weeks. We probably won't be until a month or two away, but I will keep the council updated in regards to that. And that is it for my report. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask.
Okay, doesn't look like anyone has a hand raised.
All right. Well, thank you guys all very much. And I'll go ahead as well and put my email in the chat in case you guys don't have it.
Joan, are you still?
Sorry, I've been chatting away. Yes, I called if there was anyone from the mayor's office. I don't see anybody, but is there, Rosalie? Do you see anybody?
No, Jocelyn is not here tonight.
No. How about the county supervisor? Again, I don't see anybody who's here.
No,
No.
don't.
Okay, thank you. So then I will call on Helena from the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. Helena, I'm not sure how to pronounce your last name.
Helena.
Helena
Yes.
Doob?
Helena Daub.
Daub. Okay,
Yes.
thank you very much and welcome.
Thank you. I'm not able to share my video, but I wanted to introduce myself. My name's Helena, and I am with Neighborhood Empowerment. I am new to the department. I am coming up on my 3rd month, so pretty fresh. And I will be taking over this role from Octaviano. The board should have gotten an email from our department letting them know of this change. And Octaviano unfortunately couldn't be here tonight, so I'll be providing those updates. But yeah, just a little bit about me. I am a former board member myself. I come from Olympic Park Neighborhood Council, so I understand the trials and tribulations of being a board member, and I'm coming into this role with that understanding. I am also a social worker, so I'm bringing that along with me as well. And I'm just excited to be supporting neighborhood councils from this end. And I hope that if there's anything I can do to build not just a stronger department, but help you all build a stronger neighborhood council system, that's what I'm here to do. As far as updates go, to be a broken record, I know there's been a lot of emails going out about the trainings. It's now June 4th, but on June 3rd, we had a major deadline for the code of conduct. There were reminders sent out, but that deadline does mean that if the deadline was not met, those who are unable to complete the code of conduct are ineligible to vote on all items. So just a friendly reminder on that. This is per the bonk policy. And And then, of course, always refer to your bylaws for other trainings, making sure that you keep up to date on the ethics and funding trainings. And then now there's also the anti-bias and gender expression trainings. But please remember that the gender expression and gender identity and the anti-bias trainings, those take them once and you don't have to take them again. Same with the updated code of conduct. And then if any of you, I know some neighborhood councils, and again, if I repeat anything that y'all already know, please, no offense. I'm still learning, and I know some of you are probably been doing this longer than I have. So, but the amended code of conduct, once that is complete, you don't have to take it again. So those are the 3 trainings that once you're done, you're done. The other 2 that you have to keep updated are the ethics and funding. And just a note on the code of conduct, the department will be sending out suspension notices. So they'll be emailing suspension letters to those who did not acknowledge the code of conduct policy. But don't fret if you did get one, because I know like some folks have had issues with logins, and you will then have those 30 days in that suspension period. If you are having login issues, please email communications@empowerla.org, and they can support you with your Cornerstone account. So that's the update for trainings. And then actually on trainings, NCAD is offering an in-person ethics training. Why this is exciting is that there are folks who want to partake in the neighborhood council system, but English is not their first language. And we do want to make sure that we are representative and supporting those that English isn't their first language. So NCAD is offering an in-person training, ethics training. It will be the same 2-hour training, but they will be offering translators. So if any of you need that service, or maybe you know some stakeholders who've been interested in joining Harbor Gateway North, but they haven't been able to because of that issue, let me know and we can get them signed up for this training. We have it scheduled for June 17th. Again, that will be in person. And then like if you need this service and say your training is up in the next 6 months, it's also worth joining if you can that way too. And then the last.
So would
Oh.
would that training be in English but with a Spanish translation?
Yeah, so it'll be what my knowledge, the way I've interpreted the information shared with me is that they will put the training up, the English version, and then they will have translators they're offering. Right now we have a Spanish translator, but like we can offer this, say if someone needs a Korean translator. It's just let us know so we can make sure we have those translators available. Any other questions on that? No?
Thank you.
No
Okay,
worries.
thank you very much.
Oh, and one more thing is bylaw amendments. Octaviano should be finishing those. I don't know if you all had those. There are some administrative changes that are gonna happen regardless if you submitted a packet or not. And it's just like, for example, changing the map so it reflects the current mayor and not the former mayor. So just some minor updates. And that's really it. And then of course the funding final date for bank card transactions is June 20th because the fiscal year ends on June 30th. If you have any other questions about that, and then of course the monthly updates has lots more information that I won't regurgitate, but if you have questions, please reach out. I'm here to help.
Okay, thank you. And there questions? I do not see any. So if not, then we will go to item number 4, administrative motions. And 4A is approval of the May 14th board minutes. Has everybody read the board minutes, or anybody needs to read them? No? So if everybody has read the minutes, then I will call for a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I motion to approve the minutes. This is Madge.
Thank you, Madge. And a second?
I second.
Thank you. Thank you, Eva. Okay, Rosalie, would you, if there are no questions or amendments to those minutes or whatever you call them, corrections to those minutes, then I call for a vote. Rosalie, would you call the
Joan
vote?
Jacob,
Yes, approve.
Rosalie Preston, yeah. Jenny Nixon,
Approved.
Nita Stonehawker,
Yes.
Dave Trejo,
Yes.
Harvey Powell,
Yes.
Eva Cooper Page,
Yes.
Marvin Bell,
Yes.
Oscar Ruiz,
Yes.
Frankie Mays,
Yes.
Craig Kusanokii.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, Barbara just showed up.
Oh, welcome, Barbara. Great, thank you. Is she in on a panel as a panelist, Pamela, Rosalie?
I'm working on that.
Yeah, thank you. We'll just wait for a moment.
Okay, I think she's rejoined.
Good, yes, I see her. Thanks very much, Rosalie. Okay, so were the board minutes approved? Or did you not finish? You finished the roll call.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so the board minutes are approved. We go on to the next item 4B, which is approval of the May 24, 2024 monthly expenditure report. Who is presenting that?
Is this for
Oh.
April or May?
This is for, it says May.
Yeah, I can speak on that. Because the meeting, this is a special meeting, the MER or monthly expenditure reports are not available for us, so we'll have to move that to June's meeting.
Okay.
Or sorry, July's meeting.
July, right. Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Then we will go on to approval of the 24-25 administrative packet, which includes the 24-25 fiscal year budget. And Rosalie, are you presenting that or? is my-
Madge will present. Madge, did you want a screen share or should I, or?
Thank you.
If you could screen share, Rosalie, that would be great.
Okay, let me find it. Well, it's on my desktop, but now it won't show up. Okay,
Oh,
can people see that now?
Yeah, we can see your Rosalie,
Yeah.
your screen now.
Okay.
Rosalie. We can't see the document open yet, but we see the folder.
Oh, you don't see this, the document?
Mm-mm. Looks like you might have to double click it or
No.
open it.
Yeah, I thought I did that. but- Oh, wait a minute. Do you see that?
Almost.
So it comes up as a PDF on my desktop, but when
Right.
I do screen share, it won't,
Just won't open.
I can't find it. Let's see.
Make sure you're sharing the right screen.
Let me try again. Oh, there it is, finally.
Should you open it first and then, oh, here we are.
There we go.
Yeah.
As if it's working now, yes.
So a lot of this is new to me, just to kind of preface that, but I have gone over this, and essentially this packet is what we're going to submit and need approval for the next fiscal year 2024, 2025 for our budget. So if you keep scrolling down, Rosalie, this is all the signature pages we'll need to approve this. But essentially, we took last year's budget and adjusted somewhat for inflation and just increase of prices, like our rent, for example, and put these numbers in here as placeholders. So this first category here is the office operational expenditures category, things like rent, our copy supplies. Just read a few of these. Robocall credits. So we have a general election coming up this year for our neighborhood council. And that's where we did increase, I believe, since the last general election, we did increase for funds for that. The translations, we have $1,000 there. And we also had the board retreat, which I think you all had maybe a year or so ago. We put money in the budget for that. So that adds up to about 20,000. And as a reminder, we have a total of $32,000, and we will have some rollover funds. We just won't know that amount until I believe next month in July. So operational office things is the first category, about $20,000, give or take, as a budget. And then the second big bucket is outreach expenditures category. It's about $7,400. Like flyers for our general membership meetings, outreach events. We put placeholder dollars for that. And then the third that I was talking about, there it is, the $4,000 for the election outreach. I keep scrolling down a little bit, Rosalie. Rosalie, can you talk to that $500 there? I'm kind of forgetting what that one was.
Right, that's kind of a placeholder. It's tentative. You know, we'll consider putting it on the July board agenda if we want to. Last year, we did allocate $500 as a neighborhood purposes grant to the LA Police Foundation, earmarking it for the National Night Out that's held annually at our Southeast LAPD station. So we may do the same again this year. In the past, when we didn't have our office rent and we had more funds, we donated 1,000. And then they would be able to purchase backpacks, but
Oh, there we go. Thank you. That's a little clearer to read.
Right. It's hard getting used to the new Acrobat, how you enlarge is always a little tricky there, so.
Mhm. Does anyone have
So-
any questions, I guess, on this?
So our idea is that it'll be later in the summer and maybe not even till September or so, when funding has kind of closed out the books on the 2023, 2024 fiscal year. And then they will know exactly how much our rollover. At this point, it's gonna be maybe a little around $9,000, it looks like. So, and our thought is then we would put that more money for the election outreach and maybe for some other outreach events.
That's right.
But then the treasurer will have to redo the budget and we'll have to re-vote on it. And so that by submitting this package before July, then funding will reactivate our account and we'll be able to spend routinely, like paying our office rent early in July and not having to be limited to just $300 worth of spending.
Excuse me, Rosalie.
Barbara?
Yes, hi. Our national night out is in August. And
Right.
didn't you speak to Rosalie in regards to the national nights out? We had spoke briefly, but we were supposed to bring that to you because the event is only in like 3 more weeks. So shouldn't
No,
we?
it's August.
August. Oh, okay. So we have enough time. I was right. Okay, August.
Right.
Not
So we'll be discussing any
yes.
funding at our July meeting, but we're definitely going to have a table there. We can do that without spending any money. So it's going to be Tuesday, August the 6th from 2 to 5 p.m. on the street, 108th Street,
Right.
between Main and Broadway in front of our Southeast LAPD.
Right. I'm familiar. We've done it several times, but the thing is that why shouldn't we be able to take that 500 and get backpacks for the community? What's stopping that?
Well,
Because-
we cannot personally buy backpacks and give them out. That is a gift of public funds. That's why if the Southeast organizers, the organizers for National Night Out, think that the $500 would help them purchase some backpacks to give out, then we would vote on that as a neighborhood purposes grant. It goes to the LA Police Foundation, and then the foundation reimburses the station for that. That's the way funding has set it up to accomplish that purpose.
We are not allowed to give anything to which becomes the individual property of a person, unfortunately, because anything we do has to benefit the whole community. But we can give it to a police foundation or a non-profit organization, and that way it benefits the whole community, and they distribute it how they feel.
Excuse me, I'm confused. I thought that was what Nationals Night Out is for, the community, and that we
Exactly.
neighborhood community outreach is what we do. We support the community. So wouldn't that be part of that event? I'm not understanding what you're saying. We can't get for
Barbara, we will.
How
we'll
the
email you.
finance, how the department or the city looks at giving something which becomes the personal property. If it comes directly from us, we can sort of do it indirectly, and that's how We are benefiting the community by donating to the Police Foundation, which will benefit the community, but they are the people who are allowed to.
And Barbara, we
in a
will,
slightly different way from the way we are allowed to. Yeah.
Barbara, we will email you the language from funding that explains that.
Okay, so yeah, we need to be more informed on these information. We need to have classes so we will all know what's going on, not just one, so we will be informed, because I'm kind of confused in the area. But I would appreciate that information so that I would. But this is where it takes us as a whole to be in all the classes, everyone be informed, not just all of
Well,
them.
actually,
I
they
think the
do
class-
offer classes for all the board. And we'll remind you when they're doing the one on the funding for these type of events.
Does it
Okay.
not
So you
explain
can
that on the
review.
online funding as well? But it's easier in person if you can.
No,
if
but they
you-
do
with
cover
Zoom
the
class.
information in online classes.
Right, but it is easy if you can ask questions through Zoom or a class like that. Absolutely,
Yes,
yes.
not really for me. I'm not all that computer savvy. That's why I'm. So that's where yeah, thanks. I appreciate that information though.
Sure. It,
Okay,
I
so
don't
thank
I don't
you.
have anything else to add. Are there any other questions?
okay, if there are no other questions, then thank you very much, Madge.
Looks like
And
Nita, you're
we'll
welcome.
call
Nita has
for
their hand up.
the- Oh, has somebody got their hand up?
Nita,
Nita,
Yes,
go
ma'am.
ahead.
As far as the online training goes, I find it a little bit confusing too. I try to click on something and it tells me that that's for some other kind of person, that I don't qualify for something that I click on. And, I find it a little confusing too. And when I
Okay.
tried to do my training, the required training, the gender expression training and the update of the code of conduct, for some odd reason, and I have never, ever, ever requested my classes in Spanish, but that's how they were coming up. And I had to work with, and now I've forgotten his name, but the nice gentleman, Rosalie, you sent me his contact, and he got it squared away for me. But I mean, I can't be taking classes in Spanish, and I just am confused as to why we're not allowed access to some of the classes.
I think that's a technical problem, and one does have to get hold of the what is it, communications?
and also maybe Helena can
Oh yes,
assist.
that's what I was hoping. Mm-hmm.
Thanks for these questions. So there's two things actually here. The one that Nita, if please correct me if I'm saying that incorrectly. That your question is about the Cornerstone training. So Cornerstone is where you would take the code of conduct, and then the gender expression, the anti-bias, and your ethics and funding trainings for those that aren't financial officers. Now, that would be a Cornerstone issue. So you would reach out to communications, that email I shared, and I'm happy to send this your way after this meeting as well. But it's communications@empowerla.org. Now, with the gender training, and this has even been a thorn in my side, they uploaded two versions, the English and Spanish, just as like here for whatever one you need, but you only have to take one. But I know that folks have been getting emails saying that you haven't completed the training because the Spanish one is still up there. We can remove that. You just got to email the communications team. And please know that we have been advocating on board members' behalves to let them know, hey, this is causing some confusion. So hopefully that shouldn't be an issue in the future. As for the other trainings that Barbara mentioned, those are put on by city clerks. So that would be out of my department. I actually shared a link to the training page, but if you go to the funding programs, workshops, and trainings on the city clerk department website, they have a number of different workshops and trainings you can take. They have some just specifically on MPGs. They have some on how to do your fiscal year administrative packet. Even I have been taking these trainings because I find them really helpful. And if any of you do have like the instance that you just shared, why can't we get backpacks? That's a great question to take to these trainings because they do have Q&A sections of the trainings, and you can ask those types of questions and go through examples. I've seen it done and it's helped even me. So hopefully that helps answer both of those different questions.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Everybody, is that okay? And you will put the information in the chat box, right? Helena?
Would it be good to put it to the host and panelists for everyone?
Or just, I thought you were going to email the whole board too, or?
I'll email you all with the communications and then those links to the funding trainings.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much. Lovely. Okay, now going on to the next item.
We
Just
have
one
to
second.
have a
Do we
vote.
vote on this?
Oh, I'm
Okay.
sorry, we didn't vote. Yes, thank you, Rosalie. Okay, I would like to call for a motion to approve the administrative packet, which includes the 24-25 fiscal year budget. Who will make a motion?
Rosalie makes the motion.
Thank you, Rosalie. Second?
I second.
Thank you. Marvin? Was that
Yeah.
Marvin?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, Rosalie, if there are no other questions or comments, then I will ask Rosalie to take the roll call.
Joan Jacob,
Yes.
Rosalie Preston, yes. Majeni Nixon,
Yes.
Nita Stonehawker,
Yes.
Dave Trejo,
Yes.
Arby Powell,
Yes.
Eva Cooper Pace,
Yes.
Marvin Bell,
Yes.
Barbara Tyson Frazier,
Yes.
Oscar Ruiz,
Yes.
Frankie Mays,
Yes.
Craig Kusanokii.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, so now we will go on to item 5, which is position letters. And the first one being the approval of a comment letter on Rexford Industrial Office Warehouse at 14400 South Figueroa Street, 400 to 422 West Figueroa Street, and then we will have a vote on this letter. I'll just quickly go over the letter. I will read it as quickly as possible. And it's regarding the Rexford Industries facade improvements to their office space on Figueroa, and the truck storage warehouse on Rosecrans in the unincorporated Los Angeles County, West Rancho Dominguez, Victoria Standards District, and Green Zones District. And this letter, dear Ms. Thornton, on June the 4th, our board will vote on this and send this comment letter on the Rexford Industries facade improvements and the renovation for a truck storage warehouse on Rosecrans Avenue. We appreciate and support Rexford Industrial's efforts to upgrade the exterior of the office space at 14400 South Figueroa, which is within the boundaries of the City of Los Angeles and the Harbor Gateway Community Plan. It faces onto the industrial corridor along Figueroa Street, which covers both sides of Figueroa Street from 149th Street to El Segundo Boulevard, and the west side of Figueroa Street from 149th Street South to the 91 freeway. The 4 new trees, additional landscape, and improved facade will definitely upgrade the property on the Figueroa Street side and elevate the appearance of this section of the industrial corridor. The property containing the future warehouse space with 31 truck docks is located in the Rancho Dominguez Victoria Standards District of the unincorporated Los Angeles County area, just to the east of the City of Los Angeles boundary line. Since the creation of the truck storage warehouse part of the project is under the authority of the Los Angeles County Regional Planning Commission, we can only comment on certain aspects of the project for the record. Our concerns for the truck storage warehouse part of the project in the unincorporated Los Angeles County area include: 1, the potential noise impact on residential uses, particularly at night, from trucking-related activities on the southeast side of the property, which is less than 300 feet from homes at Figueroa Street and 146th Street, and less than 400 feet from homes on Denver at 144th Street. A bare minimum sound review was conducted, while a full review should have been performed, especially in light of the 24/7 operation of the future facility. 2, although the project reduces the size of the previous buildings on site and previous potential number of daily truck trips, there will still remain an air pollution impact to residential uses, homes on the south side of Rosecrans Avenue between the 110 Harbor Freeway and Figueroa Street, from the 96 daily truck trips going to the warehouse and exiting from the warehouse in order to enter the 110 Harbor Freeway. Thirdly, potential traffic impacts of trucks leaving the warehouse and turning west over the eastbound lanes of Rosecrans Boulevard. A professional traffic study was not carried out. 4, lack of air conditioning in the renovated warehouse building. Representatives for Rexford Industries indicated during their presentation to the HGNNC Planning and Land Use Committee on April the 25th, 2024, that air conditioning was not needed as the site is located in the coastal zone that does not see high temperatures, as compared to warehouses located in the Inland Empire, for example, and that ceiling fans would be adequate for overly hot days. However, with the impact of global warming, our neighborhood is seeing many more high 90s and 100-degree temperatures. Ceiling fans alone are unlikely to be able to cool the interior of the warehouse to below 87 degrees for the recently adopted Cal-OSHA standards for indoor air temperatures. It would seem prudent to plan for the future by installing a heat pump heating cooling system with solar panels so that the building is ready to provide proper cooling for days of higher temperatures in the future. We would also like to point out that there needs to be a more formal means of communication and coordination between the Los Angeles County Department of Regional Planning and the City of Los Angeles for areas where the 2 jurisdictions share boundaries, particularly where development in the County of Los Angeles impacts residents on the west side of Figueroa Street. For example, we would have liked to receive notification of this project last year when the application was first filed. Additionally, one of our goals is to see higher quality usages for the industrial facilities that line our Figueroa corridor, as opposed to warehousing that involves large truck traffic and is considered a heavier industrial use. Per the Cal Environment Screen 4.0, all of the Harbor Gateway North areas along Figueroa Street up to 120th Street in the Harbor Gateway Community Plan area meet the criteria of being disadvantaged communities. With that in mind, the Harbor Gateway Community Plan update recommends encouraging green, sustainable industries that bolster the economic base and provide high skill and high wage job opportunities for local residents. These are actual quotations from the plan. The updated community plan also calls for another quotation, the transition of industrial land uses from heavier industrial uses to lighter industrial uses in close proximity to residential neighborhoods to minimize the negative environmental and visual impacts to the community. Sincerely, etc. Chairperson and Harbour Gateway North Neighbourhood Council. The copies go to our council member, Tim McCosker, Nicola Chavez, our field deputy, Jocelyn Dominguez, Harbour Watts representative for Mayor Karen Bass, Elsa Rodriguez, senior planner, LA County Department of Regional Planning, Josh Gertler, president and CEO, Consensus, representing Rexford Industrial. Thank you. Are there comments or questions that I may or may not be able to answer? But I think we have a person from Rexford who is present and might be able to answer a question.
Yes, good evening. This is Josh Gertler from Consensus. I'm a representative of Rexford, and our whole project team is here tonight to answer questions. We prepared a letter to the board of directors in response to the letter that was just read by Ms. Jacobs, and we'd be happy to go through it. Just provide some further clarifications, just to back up for a little context for those who may not know. We presented our project initially to the Plum Committee on April 25th and had a robust dialogue with the committee members who were participating that evening. And then the next communication we saw was a couple of days ago when we received this draft letter commenting on the project. And first, I'd like to say thank you for recognizing those items and attributes of the project that are positive. And we have be happy to walk through our comments, essentially 4 issues that were laid out in that letter.
So I can share your letter if you want.
Okay, please do.
Do you have it? Great, thank you. I do not have it. Do you have it there, Rosalie?
I pulled it up on my desktop, but once again,
it won't come up, huh?
If you enable me to share, I'd be happy to do it. I've got it up.
Okay, let me, multiple participants can share simultaneously. Okay, try it now.
Okay. Are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Terrific. So, Joan and Rosalie, I'll defer to you. How would you like us to go through this? Would you like, there's 4 items that we've responded to. So, and as I said, we have our whole project team, including Rexford representatives on the call, which would be happy to address as much detail as you like. I can go ahead and read the letter into the record.
Yeah, like highlight issue 1 and what that is, and then, you know, read out your response. And
yes.
Okay.
That
Okay.
would be great. Thank you.
All right. Very good. And as I said, there may be additional questions or input from our project team. So I may need you, Rosalie, to promote somebody to speak or unmute them, as the case may be. Do you want to just go ahead and do that now before I begin?
We could do it while, if they can put their hand up and
everyone was moved to panelists except one person who said they didn't want to be, but
okay. Okay, very good. So issue 1, and again, this was just read, so I'm not going to repeat it, but the concern is largely about summarized into 2 items: noise and 24/7 operations. And so our hope is before I begin diving into those details, our hope is that the clarification we provide tonight will provide and catalyze further refinements to the letter that you are preparing to send to CD15. So I'll begin with item 1. as I said, noise and 24/7 out operation. So I'm going to read this. Please note that 24/7 operation of the facility is not proposed. The application for the project states that outdoor operations will be limited to 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily, with the exception of loading and unloading at the warehouse building's truck docks. Therefore, if a future tenant conducts nighttime operations, they will be contained within the warehouse building, where noise impacts to vicinity properties will be negligible. Please note that the existing warehousing and manufacturing uses on the site currently do not have any operating hours restrictions. So this project's proposed restrictions on outdoor operations between 6 p.m. and 8 a.m. daily would mark a significant improvement over the existing conditions. So that pertains to the 24/7. Next paragraph pertains and addresses the question about noise. So the truck docks in our property are located toward the rear of the property, which not only places the docks further away from the nearest homes, but also allows us to take advantage of several layers of sound and visual buffers between those docks and the nearest homes. The nearest truck docks are approximately 550 feet from the nearest homes on Denver Avenue, and as your letter notes, approximately 400 feet from the nearest homes on 146th Street. The line of sight and noise transmission between the docks and the nearest homes would be interrupted by new proposed gates, several existing industrial buildings on the east side of Figueroa, the Figueroa Street right-of-way, and several existing industrial buildings on the west side of Figueroa. Next paragraph. Please also note that due to the existing arrangement of buildings on the site, trucks are currently forced to use exclusively Figueroa Street to access the bulk of the site, bringing truck-related noise impacts closer to the homes west of Figueroa. Again, that's existing conditions. Our proposed site plan would allow for trucks to exclusively use Rosecrans Avenue to access the entire site. This would mark, again, a significant improvement over existing conditions as additional truck-related noise impacts are diverted further away from these homes. Last paragraph. Between the new operating hour restrictions, the strategic location we've placed the new truck docks tucked toward the rear of the property behind several layers of sound and visual buffers, and the new site plan diverting truck traffic from Figueroa to Rosecrans, the Rexford project will not result in increased levels of noise in the existing residential neighborhood to the west of Figueroa, particularly at night. So to the board, would you like me to stop there and have you discuss that one item, or would you like me to go through all of them and then discuss all of them thereafter?
Go through all of them.
Okay. Issue 2 raised in your neighborhood council's draft letter to CD15's planning director pertains to daily truck trips and was just read. So our response is as follows. So as acknowledged in the board's letter, this project would include the removal of 3 existing buildings on the site and a reduction in the size of the remaining building. As a result, the amount of daily trips generated by industrial uses on the site will be reduced by approximately 62% from present condition of approximately 250 total trips per day, including employee and truck trips, to the Rexford proposal to approximately 96 trips. In addition to significantly reducing the overall number of trips, the project will divert trips from Figueroa to Rosecrans, as was just mentioned, further away from the homes in the vicinity due to the reconfigured site plan and the location of the docks. Because the overall number of daily trips to and from the site will be greatly reduced by this project, and since those reduced trips are more likely to occur further away from the residential uses in the area, localized air pollution impacts to those residential uses will be reduced from by this project as compared to the existing conditions. Issue 3, as was previously read, pertains to trucks exiting the ingress egress. And so our response to that is analysis of the potential traffic impacts of this proposed project was completed in accordance with the County of Los Angeles Traffic Impact Analysis Guidelines adopted June 23rd, 2020, with an update in September 2nd, 2020. This study addressed the change in the number of trips that will be generated by uses on the site, as discussed above. the change in vehicle miles traveled, or VMT, and changes to access and circulation proposed into and out of the site. The site currently contains 3 existing driveways on Rosecrans Avenue, which currently each allow departing trucks to turn westbound or eastbound as they wish. The Rexford project, as proposed, will close 2 of those existing driveways and will retain and modify 1 remaining driveway in order to facilitate safer truck maneuvers into and out of the site. The remaining driveway on Rosecrans is located approximately 300 feet east of the curb projection of Figueroa. The driveway will be modified to have a 40-foot width to accommodate truck movement, and 10-foot by 10-foot visibility triangles are proposed between the gate and the Rosecrans property line to increase visibility between trucks leaving the warehouse and vehicles traveling along Rosecrans. In addition, there is an existing 2-way left turn lane on Rosecrans Avenue that can safely accommodate truck movement into and out of the project site. Issue 4 pertains to the cooling and air conditioning. Our response is as follows. While the property will not be air conditioned, it is important to note that our renovation to the existing building includes the addition of several significant improvements that will improve air circulation and cooling in the building. Those improvements are as follows. We're adding 60 vented skylights, 60 vented skylights that when open will produce an airflow that is much higher than average. Secondly, we are substantially increasing the insulation on the building's roof. And thirdly, we are providing the electrical infrastructure for a tenant who wishes to add high velocity fans as their operations allow. So that's item 4. Last thing I'll say, this is discussed in your letter about the need for coordination between the county and the city. This project is an anomaly for those who were part of the Plum Committee meeting. You'll recall that part of our property sits in Los Angeles County. The majority of the property sits in LA County jurisdiction, and a small part of it sits in the city of Los Angeles jurisdiction. That anomaly creates challenges that we've discussed with the Plum Committee. But as it pertains to the issue about noticing this board, I would like to say that nobody asked us to come to this board. Nobody twisted our arm. Rexford its value system is such that it proactively opted to reach out to this neighborhood council well in advance of any hearings or approvals. We believe that it's critically important to authentically engage our neighbors, and so we just like to note that we agree with your sentiment that the coordination between the county and city could be improved. But I would like to just amplify that we are here not because we were asked, but because we chose proactively to come to this group. And with that, I will turn it back over to the board and reiterate that our team of Rexford team is available on the line to answer any specific questions about any issues that we've just discussed. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Would you like me to continue sharing screen so you can refer to this letter?
I think that would be a good idea, actually.
Okay, very good.
So, any board members with questions?
This is Madge, and I'm on the PLU committee, and thank you for making the time again today. I just had a couple of, I guess, just clarifying questions on some of the, I guess, studies that you all did. Or I guess that's the question is, was there a traffic study done, or are you only citing what the guidelines are?
I'd like to ask one of my colleagues to jump in and answer that question. Who's a little bit more tech savvy on the rules and regulations. Tony or John?
Yeah, Thank you, Josh. This is Tony Locacciato with Meridian Consultants. We're the environmental planning consultant on the project. The County of Los Angeles is conducting environmental review of this project as required by the California Environmental Quality Act. And yes, a traffic review was completed by a licensed traffic engineer in accordance with the county's guidelines. And that's going to be included in the county's environmental review document when that's completed. And under the county's guidelines, since the project reduces the volume, the amount of buildings and trips on the site, it didn't require what you may typically think of as a full traffic impact analysis, but there is comparative trip generation, an analysis of the change to vehicle miles traveled, which is what you're required to look at now under CEQA to analyze transportation impacts, and then the access, circulation, and safety of vehicles turning into and out of the site was also looked at. So that study has been prepared and is in for review with the County Public Works Traffic Division.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that, because I was also a little confused about I think there was a number of trips that was estimated. And on the Planning and Land Use Committee, you all had mentioned that you don't actually have a tenant or anybody that is slated to go into this space. So I was just curious how that number of the estimated trips was calculated. And I know that that's typically done in the study. So I'd be very interested to see when that report is finalized.
Yes, you're right. It's pretty common that individual or specific tenants aren't known when traffic studies are completed. So the county and almost all other agencies use trip generation rates for categories of uses identified by the Institute of Transportation Engineers. And those standard rates were used in the study in accordance with the county's guidelines.
Okay, thank you. That's really helpful. I guess I have a similar question on the noise and was there another? Yeah, the first bullet. Sorry, the first issue. Similarly, was there a noise test or any kind of sound test performed? Or again, this is going off of guidelines, or maybe you're waiting for something to be finalized in terms of a report?
The county's environmental document will have some qualitative noise analysis that is based, as described in the responses to this letter, is based on the changes to the characteristics of the building and the activity in relation to the nearest sensitive receptors for noise, which is noted in your letter, are the homes on the west side of Figueroa. So the changes in the operational characteristics and the physical characteristics are considered and addressed based on how those would affect the noise that's generated from this facility.
Yes. Oh, you're done, Marge?
Yeah, I'm done for the moment. Thanks.
Oh, okay. This is RV. I have a question. I'm also on the PLU committee. Appreciate you guys coming out and being with us on the meetings. I have a question about the ventilation. My question is that maybe for clarity also, is that you're going to have the people, whoever rents the area is going to be responsible for the ventilation, or are you guys, or is the warehouse going to be coming with a cooling system? It's just like fans and things like that?
I'd like to ask Brian or Steve to address that.
Hey, Avi, this is Brian. I'm the construction manager for the project. Yes, some tenants don't like the fans because if they have sensitive products there that create dust, they like to keep the fans out. But we supply the electrical and the backing so that if they decide that they do want fans, we'll put them in. So the electrical will already be up there and the support to hold fans will be up there. We are going to put insulation on underneath side of the roof like it talks about. And we're also making sure that we have the vented skylights that the county code requires 1 air exchange per hour. We're going to be in the neighborhood of 2 or 3, so we're going to be almost 3 times more air exchanges to keep cooling air from hot air from rising and cool air from coming in. So it will be much better than it is right now, and has the ability to be upgraded if the tenant so desires.
Okay, and another question is what type of tenants is going to be renting out the places, and what type of clients are you guys going to have renting your facilities?
I'll let Steve speak to that one. Steve.
Yeah, let me unmute here. Hi, Steve Masura, Director of Entitlements with Rexford. Yeah, so since this is a speculative project, as all of our projects are, we don't sign any leases till we're closer to actual completion and certificates of occupancy. But Rexford, having over 400 properties in Southern California of all sizes and types, industrial properties only, and we're also long-term holders of our properties. We have our own in-house leasing and property management, so we want to make sure we're getting quality tenants. So that's why our property upgrades are high quality to attract quality tenants, which also tend to be more stable businesses and stable employment. But again, since it's speculative, it could be anything from a typical warehouse to some kind of manufacturing. But given that this is a little bit more warehouse oriented, and there's going to be some truck parking available, then it might be more of a warehouse type of use. But again, it's a speculative development at this point.
Okay, and one more question. What your hours of operation is going to be 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, or not, I mean, well, 7 days a week. Is it going to be your operations around the clock, like from 8 a.m. to 6 daily? Is it 7 days where they're going to be with your operations?
Again,
With the trucks and with the activities of the indoor operations of loading the trucks and everything?
Right. Again, since it's we don't have the tenant, it really depends on the tenant. But the typical, industrial user, they don't always have 3 shifts, because it's expensive to have 3 shifts, and a lot of, there's not a lot of trucking that goes on 24 hours, even though some of the ports aren't even fully operational 24 hours. Or places that they're shipping to or from aren't open 24 hours. So it's not that common to have 24-hour operations. So there typically are, more the 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. timeframes. That said, it still could be spread out over, longer periods than that, which spreads out some of the traffic as well. It's not all concentrated at one time, and trucks don't like to drive during peak traffic hours either. So they'll try to drive when it's not peak traffic hours, so that helps reduce some of the concern for, excessive traffic during rush hours. Hopefully that question.
And then who regulates that? Like, I get the point, and I appreciate you all reiterating that you don't have the tenants. And I think that's a very important thing to point out here. Who regulates that after the fact, and what, I guess, kind of responsibility or partnership is Rexford going to have with these tenants to make sure that some of our concerns are addressed?
Well, you always have the option, if there's some concern, to contact us directly, but also code enforcement if there's something more specific that you think is a violation, that there's also code enforcement. And in our experience with both LA City and LA County, is that code enforcement regarding industrial uses is very, very proactive. So that's the primary way. And hopefully also what we're showing you, being very experienced developers, and we have in-house construction and design, that we are designing this in a way that we think is much better than what's out there now, with the improved driveway width. So that's going to improve the visibility and the access to get in and out of there on Rosecrans. So and then there's also going to be improved on. One of the reasons we're reducing some of the buildings on site is, these were built over 50 years ago in the 60s, they're not built to current modern standards to accommodate, current uses. So it's gonna allow for more appropriate on-site maneuvering of vehicles where they don't have to queue on the streets and things like that, which a lot of these buildings that are way overbuilt or not to current standards, these older buildings tend to create impacts that I think we're reducing, frankly. And then also there's also the typical police and sheriff that will do traffic enforcement.
Thank you.
I have a question, and it's regarding the temperatures inside and the mitigation of the buildup of the temperatures inside the warehouse. Has anybody passed this, or has an OSHA inspector come or what's the word, examined your proposals for these mitigations that you are proposing to put in place to say whether it is adequate or not?
No, the code that we're required to do is what I call the air exchange, and that keeps the fresh air coming in the building. So that's the only code that we're working with for the warehouse. Employee safety and employee regulations will be something that is monitored by the tenant, like I said, and if they decide that they would like to have fans or even air conditioning the site, the warehouse, we will work with them to make sure they can do that. But that is usually a tenant responsibility to manage their employees and their employees' safety.
Right.
And so we're not really involved in that portion of it. We have a lot of excess power in this building to provide for electric truck chargings, or you could actually use electric heat pumps on the roof to create some cooling if that's what you desired.
I see. But Cal OSHA would not have any say in whether it's adequate. That's really my point, whether what you're proposing right now or what for your future.
They don't do any, OSHA doesn't do any building permit plan checks. They do on-site investigation after the construction.
Oh, got it. Thank you very much. Yes.
Yeah, and as Steve mentioned, we have about 400 buildings in the Southern California area, and many of them, and we have even some in the San Fernando Valley where it gets quite hot, and the warehouses, although it does get warm, people still are able to work in there fairly comfortably. And that's why we're thinking, yes, there's global warming, and yes, we're insulating our warehouses more because of that and adding more ventilation. The coastal area, we probably have a few more years to get up there before we get the valley. And so we're pretty confident in the ability to keep tenants, employees comfortable in this facility.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
I have a question. Hi, my name's Dave Trejo. Thank you for coming out and sharing. It seems like you all have a lot of intentionality in the design that you are proposing, and consideration for the quality of life of the neighbors, and so I appreciate that. However, my question is, are future tenants required or beholden to your design intentions, or can they go off script, so to speak, and drive up and down Figueroa all they want and not try to use Rosecrans as much as they want, and other things that would impact the quality of life of the neighbors that are a couple hundred feet away?
This is Brian, the Director of Development Construction. Yes, there's nothing to keep them from using, I'm going to call it the Northern Figueroa driveway in and out. The challenge that they will have, though, is that that driveway is a very narrow-throated driveway. It has car parking on both sides for the office that we're going to create and for the building next door. It's a shared driveway, and it's very tight and fairly restricted. The neighbor next door tends to have his truck parked in the driveway, and so it's a very sort of dysfunctional driveway from a standpoint of using it, and that's why we took the driveway over on a Rosecrans and made it larger to 50 feet and try to make that one the most operable one. But Dave, there is nothing keeping trucks from going in and out on Figueroa, other than it will be sort of hard for them to sort of navigate that driveway. The previous tenant used that driveway a lot. They had smaller trucks, but they were stuck many times when I was visiting the site after we purchased it while MJ Metals was still running it. There were people backing up, and it was hard to get in and out of there. UPS trucks would be blocking the way, and it's like I say, the reason we increased the Rosecrans driveway was to create a better access. So truckers they have a hard time turning in tight, small driveways, and so we've created the large one on Rosecrans purposefully to direct traffic that direction.
Got it. I appreciate that response. And then in terms of noise reduction, I can't scroll up and down the letter. Are there things in relation to noise reduction or noise mitigation that a tenant could potentially just disavow or ignore that we would want to, as a neighborhood council, pay attention to in the future?
The things the tenant could ignore would be trucks showing up early and the gates being shut, and the tenants having trucks not getting into the facility, and that way they'd be idling either on Rosecrans or Figueroa. That's something that we can't help, but that's once again, that's where code enforcement could do that. And we purposely again put the truck docks behind a building and screened from as far away from the residents as we can. We put them in the far eastern part of the building. On the south side, they're all behind a building that fronts Figueroa, and on the north side, they're far back, and there's just a little driveway that creates the corridor for the sound to go through. So we're fairly confident that the sound will be buffered fairly well. But the only thing I see that could interfere with the neighbors is the queuing of trucks if the facility was closed up and they were getting there early beforehand it was open.
And I can add real quick to that too. And also, as I had mentioned, we have our own house property management. So they keep close relationships with all of our tenants. So if there are issues, we often will talk to them and work it out. But in a case where if they're repeat violators of some kind of code enforcement, our leases allow us to evict the tenants, and we have actually done that in some cases where some tenants weren't operating within proper codes and so forth.
Understood. I appreciate that response. I have no further questions.
This is Rosalie. I'm wondering if we should table voting on this issue, have it go back to the Planning and Land Use Committee to do a little tweaking of the letter, and then bring it back for our July board meeting.
Taking into consideration the response to our letter, then yes, what does the board feel? Can we table this?
I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
So someone is Madge making the motion and RV seconding the motion?
Yes, I make the
Yes.
motion to table this until July's meeting.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And I second it.
Thank you. Rosalie, would you take the roll call?
Okay. Joan Jacobs,
Yes, table.
Rosalie Preston, yes. Majeni Nixon,
Yes.
Nita Stonehawker,
Yes.
Dave Trejo,
Yes.
RV Powell,
Yes.
Eva Cooper Pace,
Yes.
Marvin Bell,
Yes.
Barbara Tyson Frazier. Is Barbara still here? Oscar Ru. Was that Barbara? Oscar Ruiz,
Yes.
And
Frankie.
yes, that's me.
Barbara,
Barbara?
okay, thank you. Frankie Mays
Yes.
and Craig Kusunoki.
Yes.
Okay, so we will take it back to our Planning and Land Use Committee for some refinement and further study. the project is, I think it was indicated, does fall within the LA County's Green Zones program that they instituted a couple of years ago, so.
Okay.
To
Thank
the
you.
board, this is Josh Gertler from Consensus again. Thank you all for taking additional time to review the project. I hope our answers were as robust as you sought, and that you appreciate your continued involvement in this project. Is there a date for that meeting, just so we can hold it on our calendars? Or is it the 3rd or 4th X of the month, just so we
The planning and land use will be Thursday, June 27th. Our next board meeting will be Tuesday, July the 9th.
Okay, so June 27th, Plum, July 9th board.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, terrific. Thank you all.
Thank you, and thank you for your responses to our questions and to our letter. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, so item 5B, approval of a letter and community impact statement in support of Department of the Interior funds being allocated to plug and remediate idle wells in the HGNNC area. Council file 24-0585, and we will have a vote. Rosalie, do we have the letter to see, or would you like to read that letter?
Yes, I'm trying to find it.
Yes. This is
Okay, I'll just read it out.
Okay.
So I had read an article in the newspaper about the federal funding going to the states, and then our Department of Neighborhood Empowerment sends out notices of council files that we might be interested in. And that's how I saw that our council member, Tim McCosker, had introduced council file 24-0585 that would ask that the city try to get some of those funds to remediate some of the many idled wells in the city of Los Angeles. So this letter, I went on, it used to be called Dogger, the California website. It's now called CalGEM, which relates to oil and gas drilling. And I found they indicate which wells are idle in purple. Of course, we have like a zillion supposedly closed wells, which I'm going to create a full list of those. But so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8 idle wells. And I tried to put an address to give us an idea of where they're located. One is in District 4. It's either under a house or under an apartment building on the south side of El Segundo Boulevard. One thing I noticed that we have to work with our Director of Planning, Pamela Thornton, and the Department of City Planning is that when you look on the ZEMAS, the zoning administration mapping, they have dots where wells are, and there's more of them than on the CalGEM map. And also the addresses are slightly different. So somehow that needs to be fixed. But so the letter basically asks that we request some of the recently appropriated $35 million in federal funding, which the state has supposedly 206 idle wells across the state, but if we have 8 just in our neighborhood council, I wonder if that's an accurate number. But so we would ask that at least some of the funding is allocated to testing and remedying the idle wells within our boundaries, particularly as these are all located close to residential uses. And so we list them, and we note that in addition to the designated so-called idle wells listed above, there are at least 60 plug wells as shown on CalGEM's WellStar throughout the Harbor Gateway North area, including in the industrial area along the Figueroa corridor. And note the discrepancies. Plugged wells, if they are not properly closed up, can also leak methane, benzene, arsenic, and hydrogen sulfide, as can idle wells. We ask that the City of Los Angeles plan to request additional funds to test and remedy these other wells, as well as addressing the wells that are currently designated idle. So we're just kind of getting it on the record that we have the 8 officially designated idle wells, but that we're very concerned about the plugged wells, because often they use concrete in a certain fashion to plug them in, and sometimes, you know, concrete can shrink or it's not done properly, and they could still be leaking the toxic gases and impacting people's health.
Okay, thank you, Rosalie. Are there any questions? Okay, then I call for a motion to approve this letter and
I
continue.
make a motion to approve.
Thank you.
second.
Thank you very much. Okay, Rosalie, would you like to?
Okay, so this is to approve the
Letter
position,
Yes.
position letter. Yeah. Joan
Yes,
Jacobs.
yes.
Rosalie Preston, yes. Majeni Nixon.
Yes.
Nita Stonehawker.
Do you
Come
need to,
back.
Nita?
Yeah. I'll come back to Nita.
Yeah. Okay.
Dave Trejo,
Yes.
Harvey Powell,
Yeah, yes.
Eva Cooper Pace,
Yes.
Marvin Bell,
Yes.
Barbara Tyson Frazier,
Yes.
Oscar Ruiz,
Yes.
Frankie Mays,
Yes.
Craig Kusunoki,
Yes.
and Nita Stonehawker.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Thank you. Then passing on to item number 5C, approval of filing a community impact statement in support of Council File 24-0002-S8, transparency in the ownership of LLCs, which is limited something companies. What is it? Anyway. followed by a-
Limited liability company.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I could never remember that middle one. Yes, thank you. Limited liability companies.
So basically, this one, we wouldn't have a letter. We would just file a community impact to the council file. And it's asking that, well, the city would supports, and therefore we would support the city's efforts to get SB 1201 introduced by Durazo passed, and it seeks to establish transparency in the ownership of LLCs and similar corporations by requiring each entity to disclose the name of each person with substantial control over the entity, both upon creation and upon submitting their required biennial business filings. And this would help provide accountability for landlords, employers, and others using LLCs to conduct their business, giving residents a better chance at fair, safe treatment. So it would be support for SB 1201 to establish transparency. And this has been noted as, especially after the recession, there were a lot of foreclosures, and LLCs and similar organizations purchase the properties, especially LLCs, that under existing law, it allows for them to not reveal who. It can shield personal assets and obscure an owner's identity. And so it's been found that this is one of the aspects contributing to issues in the affordability of housing, both rentals of single-family homes and apartment buildings. So this would work toward, it's hoped that it would work towards solving or helping to solve the affordability issue in our city.
Okay, are there any questions from anybody regarding this? Do you all have a copy of this resolution?
It was emailed out. It was in the
Thank you. Yes, thanks.
newsletter. Yeah.
Okay.
So I make a motion that we support.
Thank you. Anyone second?
I second.
Thank you. And Rosalie, if you would call for the vote.
Okay. Joan Jacob,
Yes.
Rosalie Preston, yes. Majeni Nixon,
Yes.
Nita Stonehawker,
Yes.
Dave Trejo,
Yes.
Harvey Powell,
Yes.
Eva Cooper Pace,
Yes.
Marvin Bell. Marvin's not here. Barbara Tyson Frazier,
Yes.
Oscar Ruiz,
Yes.
Frankie Mays,
Yes.
and Craig Kusunoki.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Okay, on to the last item, board business and announcements. First, reports from committee chairs. Any committee chairs who would like to make a report? The Environmental Justice Committee certainly did not meet at all, as I had said we might. Previously, I have been sick for the last 2 to 3 weeks, so that's my excuse. So if there are any reports from anybody else, any other committee chairs, things that have happened or will happen?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll just say that the Planning and Land Use Committee has been seeking to have the cannabis retail to discuss their project under their application under public comment, has been seeking to have them present at a Planning and Land Use Committee meeting. So we'll see if that can be arranged for the June committee meeting.
Okay, thank you, Rosalie. Anyone else? Okay, so any brief announcements from board members? Neighborhood Council Budget Day is June the 15th at City Hall. So if you're interested in what's happening with the city budget and the budget committee. Yes. No announcements? Okay, if there is nothing else, then I will say thank you to everybody and call this adjourn this meeting at this point. I don't have the time on me, Rosalie.
It's 8:58 and we will hold our next board meeting on Tuesday, July 9th, our usual second Tuesday of the month.
Okay.
And
Thank you very
for the general membership meeting, the fourth Tuesday of July. We're seeking a location and we're looking at having someone from Street Services and maybe Caltrans speaking.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you again, everybody, and I will say good night.